and welcome into another episode of Morgan's Pop Talks, breaking down the latest in reality TV and pop culture. Back home after a week-long trip in Los Angeles, California. Sunny, warm. It's a tornado where I live right now, but you know what? I'm happy to be back in Ohio. You can take the girl out of the sticks, but you can't take the sticks out of the gal. Because when I came back and I had no power in my house yesterday morning because of the wind, I was like, oh, I'm home. You know, LA's great. I could never live there. I'm too much of a homebody. The time difference really messed me up bad, man. I could not get with it the entire time that I was there. And to be quite honest with you, I was tired of buying $14 orange juices. You know, I got a breakfast burrito at our hotel. It was like $29. And the waiter was like, would you like to add some sausage in your burrito? And I was like, yeah, of course I would like to add some sausage in my burrito. Are you crazy? $13 to add sausage. They don't tell you that until afterwards. They offer you a green juice. I'm like, no, not today. Not today. So my wallet definitely needs to recover a little bit after the LA trip, but I hope you guys enjoyed some behind the scenes of the Hulu Get Real event. Of course, I talked about it on the pod last week. I talked about it even more so, some of those secret conversations on the Patreon, patreon.com/Morgan's Pop Talks, the Love You Like a Sis Plus tier. Let's get into today's Pop 3. Zoe Kravitz and Harry Styles are engaged. I'm a millennial, and this has hit me like a ton of bricks, like a bus. The final seconds of Mean Girls, that's how I felt after hearing this news that Zoe Kravitz is engaged to Harry Styles, and everybody's been saying it. The girl knows how to get a ring, okay? She used to be engaged to, listen to this lineup. She used to be engaged to Channing Tatum. Now she's engaged to Harry Styles. So Zoe girl, whatever you're doing, keep on doing it. So people confirmed the engagement after Zoe was spotted with massive ring on that finger while kissing Harry in London. And apparently they've only shared the news with a small circle, but she's been already showing off the ring to friends. Small circle, we all know now because of the paparazzis. They were first linked back in August of 2025 after being spotted walking arm in arm in Rome. And then Dumois report started flying about them kissing in London. And since then, they have been spending a lot of time together, but a really low profile between London, New York City, and Rome. You know, Harry Styles did say in an interview that he spent significant time in Italy after his Love on Tour, a bit of a quieter life, and it seems like he did so with Zoe by his side. So according to People, Rome basically became their little escape where they could just live normally, walk around, hang with friends, and stay out of the spotlight. Multiple insiders kept emphasizing that they had great chemistry and were building a real life together behind the scenes. Must be nice. Must be nice, Zoe Kravitz, to go gallivanting through the streets of Rome with a fresh cup of coffee with Harry Styles on your arm. Meanwhile, I'm making my Nespresso pods, which love the Nespresso pods, by the way, in my Dorinda Medley Make It Nice mug, while Zoe Kravitz and Harry Styles were running around Rome. Okay, so this is interesting. Channing Tatum posted a poem to his Instagram after this came out, and this is what part of the poem said. And Channing Tatum, Zoe Kravitz's ex. It says, "My brain and heart divorced a decade ago. About who was to blame, about how big of a mess I have become. Eventually, they couldn't be in the same room together." I'm not a poet, so I don't get it, to be quite honest with you. And I'm not going to sit here and analyze it because I got better things to do, like analyze Lindsay Hubbard's appearance on Watch What Happens Live, which we will get into. But, they were together, Channing and Zoe, for about 3 years. They got engaged and then split in late 2024. That was going around this week, but Channing Tatum's people got on the phone immediately and they're like, listen, not today, because a source told Page Six that, quote, he was surprised when he heard the news, like anyone would be, but he didn't really think too much about it. If Zoe is happy, he's happy for her. Now, I told you I wasn't going to analyze the poem, but it does not seem like that was the vibe of the poem. But you know what? To each their own. Let's move on to headline number 2. Michelle from the Valley is dating Dr. Dre. We have been living in a parallel universe as Bravo fans. Like, I just, the stories keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And one of these days, we're going to become so out of touch with reality because we're reading headlines like Michelle's dating Dr. Dre. And the crazy thing about it was that I wasn't even that moved by it. That's when truly that you've lost touch. I was like, oh, this is just the third craziest thing that I've heard this week when it comes to Bravo, because I've heard all 3 audio leaks from the Summer House reunion. And also I saw Kyle Cooke on his tippy toes kissing Meghan King Edmonds in the street of New York. So, it is what it is. But Michelle and Dr. Dre, they were photographed holding hands, leaving Nobu, Malibu after a dinner date over the weekend. And naturally, everyone was like, huh? What? Now, if you watch The Valley, you know that Jesse and Michelle's divorce was a huge storyline. They finalized their divorce last year after splitting in 2024. And throughout the show, there were constant rumors that Michelle had some sort of emotional affair with a mystery celebrity before the marriage officially ended. Word on the street is that it was Quentin Tarantino. I don't know if that came out in season 1 or if that was just the name that was being thrown around. But at the time, Michelle denied having a boyfriend, but she did admit on Watch What Happens Live back then that something happened near the end of her marriage and said Jesse knows the truth. Now, whether that's about, I don't think that's about Quentin Tarantino. I think that's about Aaron, potentially, maybe, or somebody else. Now, Aaron was Michelle's ex-boyfriend. And if you put these 3 guys in a lineup, Jesse, Lally, Aaron, and Dr. Dre, the first thing that comes to your mind is not going to be, oh yeah, that's Michelle's type. The girl has no type. It's actually something wild to behold, but good for her. And obviously this rumor is also bringing renewed conversations around Dr. Dre and his past controversies. During his divorce from his now ex-wife, Nicole Young, she accused him of abuse in court documents, allegations he denied. But he has publicly apologized in the past for hurting women. So on this season of The Valley, which is grim, by the way, I don't know if you guys are watching The Valley, but wow. And it's so hard because it's these are real struggles that people go through, whether it's, Kristen and not feeling comfortable in her body postpartum. And then you have Luke complaining that they don't have sex because she just had a baby. It's oh my gosh. What else is going on in The Valley? Brittany has a new boyfriend. They're trying to set Michelle up with Tom Schwartz, Danny and Nia, Janet and Jason, just all around pretty grim. But they've been pushing Michelle and Tom Schwartz on The Valley. And this is actually what Jesse said in a confessional about it. If Schwartz and Michelle end up dating, that is so much fuel for me to use at all times to make the two of them feel uncomfortable. I feel like at this point, I'm pushing them into dating. And Michelle admitted, I love Tom's energy and he's funny, but he's the opposite of what I'm looking for. She wants someone older, more mature, and more well-rounded. Enter Dr. Dre. D-R-E. I mean, I don't think you could get more opposite. Tom Schwartz and Dr. Dre. Can confirm. The two are not alike whatsoever. So at least Michelle was pretty clear and she knew what she was looking for, the opposite of Tom Schwartz. None of us were thinking it was going to be Dr. Dre, but here we are. What do you think Michelle and Dr. Dre talk about? That's what I'd really like to know. All right, let's move on to headline number 3. The Bachelorette might have worked out for Taylor Frankie Paul after all, because there are reports out now that she is giving Doug Mason another chance, which Doug Mason was the final rose pick for Taylor's season. I learned that information before it was announced that Taylor Frankie Paul season of The Bachelorette was being pulled by ABC. I was spoiled. I was mad about it. I was like, are you kidding me? I didn't ask to see this. But obviously the whole thing went up in flames after the alleged domestic violence incident and investigation. Well, now there's no charges being pressed against Taylor. So there's a lot up in the air. I just want to say this on the record. I think we're going to get Taylor Frankie Paul season of The Bachelorette eventually. I do, because honestly, I feel like the trajectory of the franchise hinges on it. If they don't air it eventually, they're not going to have a pool of guys to choose from for the next Bachelor and subsequently the next Bachelor in Paradise. It's like if you break the cycle now, especially because they're going to be on like a year-long break. I think I saw Paradise was coming back next year. It's like, you know, you can't pull from people that were on the show 4 years ago. So I do think that we're going to get it in due time. Whether or not people will be as interested, I don't know. Maybe if she does rekindle with Doug and they end up together, people will have a newfound interest in it. But anyways, Us Magazine is reporting that they are seeing each other again and they are trying to make it work. They were hanging out recently and want to see if they can get back together and be a couple. So he was very supportive of her vocally whenever this happened. You know, it was announced that the show wasn't going to air. He got on his social media at like 5 o'clock in the morning. I guess he's one of those guys that wakes up, you know, as the rooster crows to go running and watch the sunrise. It's like, it doesn't even sound like a real human being, right? Meanwhile, I'm hitting the snooze at 8:40 every single day. But anyways, so he gets on his social media and he's like, I just want to send, I'm paraphrasing, but I just want to send support to Taylor. This was her moment and it was blocked. Let's stay positive, everybody. So I don't know. I don't know Taylor Frankie Paul, but I feel like it would probably benefit her to be single for a little bit. I don't know. But I've never been that person. I've never been that person that, I don't want to say, like, I wasn't really a relationship person. You know, I really disliked a lot of guys, like even guys that I was supposed to be into, like whether it was in high school or college and everybody else around me was dating. And I was just like, these are the guys that you like. Like I was very selective about who I was dating. They really had to win me over, you know? So I feel like maybe Taylor should just take a beat, take a moment, be selective, honey, which, I mean, I guess you could say she was selective at being the Bachelorette. That's literally all you do is point a rose in a guy's face and select them. But anyways, yeah, I don't know. This is also interesting that she deleted all of her social media at this time. I don't think it's reactivated. I haven't checked today. I can't say that I'm like, you know, refreshing the page every single day. But I found the timing of that interesting as well. And then, you know, in the headlines, it was like, she needs a break. I get it. Trust me, if I was Taylor or Frankie Paul, I would have needed a break a long time ago. I thought that the timing of it was interesting. Like you would think that it would have been when all the news broke. That was when everything was really at its height. Things seem to have calmed down now and it is trending, I guess you could say, in a more positive direction with charges not being filed against her. What I thought was interesting was that it was around the same time as the Hulu event. And I don't know if maybe there was like some underlying, I don't want to see it because I'm not there type of energy around it. But according to the US Sun, she also lost her opportunity at Dancing with the Stars, which again, you know, would kind of make sense why she would turn off her social media when all these Dancing with the Stars announcements were made at this event. The outlet reported she actually seemed more excited about being on Dancing with the Stars than even being the Bachelorette. She was set up to get a large lump sum this summer. So basically it was a deal with the both of the shows, The Bachelorette and then Dancing with the Stars. So yeah. All right, let's get into this week's deep dive, the show we all cannot stop watching, discussing, dissecting, listening to leaked audio. Sorry, Andy. Don't be mad at me. We got to get into all things Summer House. So let's start with the audio leaks. 3 audio leaks. I think I heard 2 of them. One of them really made the rounds, and the other two were kind of squashed before they could grow legs. And it was just crazy. I went through a range of emotions when I heard the audio leak and saw that the leak happened. At first I was annoyed. I was like, okay, I get it that we all want to know all the information as it plays out, as it happens, but also it's annoying as a fan of the show to like go into it already knowing what's going to happen. Like I want to watch things play out on the show. And I think a little bit of this is rooted in, maybe some jealousy of me not getting screeners for Summer House, especially on Threads. It's like everybody that gets a screener, like tells everybody on Threads, hey, I got a screener. I saw it before you did. And I'm just like, that's something I'm working through. It's nobody else's problem except for me. But, sometimes things are spoiled in that manner. So I was just like, I'm just kind of over it. The whole black background, white text, if you know, that Bravo put out seemed very serious. It's very serious. Is this Bravo's Watergate? Basically, they said, this is not okay. I didn't pull it up. They were like, this is not okay. We are going the distance, a la Lisa Barlow. We're going to find out who did this and make them have a come to Jesus moment. You know what I mean? And honestly, it did seem a little bit like it's not that serious, but I get if you're Bravo, it is, right? It was like 2.5 minutes, and I don't think really what was said in the audio is the most important takeaway. You had Ciara calling Amanda a snake. You had Amanda saying things like, and I can't remember if this is, all the audios are jumbled in my head right now, but Amanda saying things like, you can't help who you like. Ciara, you even said that. You can't help who you like. And then you have Wes saying that the statement was rushed because there was this alleged video, even though Amanda didn't know what was in the video. And it's like, okay, we know we're going to get those types of conversations. I think it was the energy and tone that people were most surprised by, mostly Amanda. Amanda being very defensive and combative. West barely a peep, a chirp every once in a while. And then, the rest of the group ready and backing Ciara. So while I understand Bravo's annoyance level, I don't think it was like detrimental to the Summer House reunion. I think if anything, it makes us more ready. Like we want the live feed. I want nothing less than 3 parts. I would take 4 parts. I would take 5 parts, to be quite honest with you. Like, let's set it up like the Summer House surveillance and let's get it rolling. But anyways, they did find out who leaked the audio. They said an investigation into the recent leak of the Summer House reunion audio has concluded that the audio was an unauthorized recording and distributed by an individual involved in the production of the reunion. Appropriate action was taken. We take these matters seriously and will continue to take appropriate measures to respond to the unauthorized distribution of our content. So, like I said, I get it. I think 2.5 minutes, what can you do? There's nothing you can do. If the whole entire thing would have got leaked, that would have been crazy. So who leaked it? It was a production person. This is what Andy said on SiriusXM. A Bravo fan came forward. And let me tell you that Bravo fans are the best. May I also thank the Bravo fan accounts, the dedicated Bravo fan accounts, none of whom posted this illegal audio from the reunion. This team of investigators were on it. A Bravo fan who you're going to hear more about cracked the case and delivered crucial information. And I saw that people were saying it was Jennifer Lawrence. I don't know. I just would I don't know if Andy Cohen would refer to Jennifer Lawrence as a Bravo fan. Like, what do you say? I don't know. An A-list celebrity, a movie star, a very famous Bravo fan. Like, I don't know that he would just call Jennifer Lawrence a Bravo fan. But anyways, Andy said that Bravo had people analyzing what kind of device it was recorded on before the network was able to determine it was an individual involved in the production of the Summer House reunion who leaked it. The theory that someone on the cast had leaked that Summer House audio was so silly to me. And I get it. Everybody wants to have the most controversial thing happen at all times because, that's showbiz, baby. But really, would any of them have anything to gain from releasing that audio? And I've seen all the theories, right? That some people, obviously this isn't true, it was somebody in production, but the theory was somebody on the cast wanted to release it so that Amanda couldn't get the victim edit. Actually, that was like the only thing that I heard. Some people were saying that West released it, and it's like West barely said anything at all. You think he's going to send this to the masses? He's going to post it on Reddit? Like, absolutely not. And Andy said that as well. He was like, what really made me the most mad about it was that people were blaming the cast. It's like, they don't want to lose their jobs. Trust me. Trust me. These people want to be on TV, and they want that paycheck, honey. We got some more intel from Kyle on Threads about the Summer House reunion because Bravo and Cocktails posted a thread saying, Wes, he went on his podcast and he was saying, stop sending hate to Amanda, send all the heat my way. And, in these audio clips, Wes didn't say anything. And Kyle responded saying that he's all PR and zero intention or integrity. Kyle described the reunion as a brutal beatdown and said he couldn't recall Wes defending Amanda at all or having Amanda's back. And, the more time that goes on, the more I'm just surprised by Kyle's stance in regards to Amanda surrounding the controversy. He still seems to be very protective over her, whether it was the on the street interview with Adam Glenn where he's saying, Amanda's mental health is not doing well. Don't cyberbully her and then follow Wes. And then you have this, right, where he says Wes didn't have Amanda's back at all throughout the entire reunion. And so he still has that protective nature over her. I think a lot of fans are wondering why. I think it's probably because he's been with Amanda for 10 years. It's just kind of funny to look at the juxtaposition of this season, which Kyle definitely did some things wrong in his relationship with Amanda this season. I also think Amanda did some things wrong in regards to her relationship with Kyle this season. But, Kyle went from someone Amanda maybe not so secretly resented to like a knight in shining armor defending her honor publicly. It's just an odd dynamic that we're watching play out. This week's episode of Summer House was a nightmare. And it's like, are they all going to be a nightmare from here on out until we get through this season? Like, I don't know if I can forgive Amanda and Wes for ruining my comfort show. So many moments this week. Plus Lindsay and Bailey on Watch What Happens Live was also like, wow, we got to talk a lot about that. But I'm kind of going to bounce back and forth. One of the comments that Lindsay made on Watch What Happens Live really stuck with me. And it stuck with me even more so watching Kyle's confessional about the text exchange or lack of between him and Amanda. Kyle says, Amanda basically ghosts me all the live long day. But as soon as Wes says, this was the best night of my life, Amanda perks up. She responds to it and is bummed out that Wes said that about the one night that she wasn't there. Which the consensus is that this confessional was filmed more recently. We don't know the exact timeline of it, but then you have Lindsay on Watch What Happens Live saying she thinks something was going on with Amanda and West before February. She said, I just think there's a difference between emotional and physical connection, and that things in an emotional capacity could have happened before. It's undeniable watching the season. So while Lindsay is outright saying that she believes an emotional connection happened before February, it seems like Kyle is having that realization in watching this season back and having to talk about it. It seems like he's re-examining the relationship between him and Amanda and even Amanda and West in real time and starting to put some of the puzzle pieces together. There were so many moments during this week's Summer House episode that I was just like, I cannot believe that we've gotten here. First, Ciara and Wes holding hands, lifting it up, everybody's cheering them. And then Ciara says, it's like, sounds crazy, but Wes is my person. And, the more she talks about that, the more it just drives the point home that his press really did hurt her because of that exact sentence that he used when he said, we're just not each other's person, because Ciara has always felt like they actually were, whether that was in a friendship manner or a romantic manner. And, the episode just spirals from there. There's like multiple scenes where Ciara and Wes have these deep, long hugs. You know, Wes says something like, "My summer has just started," in reference to them making up. And it's just like, I don't understand how you get from this point to hooking up with Amanda Petula in the span of 6 months, you know? And then you have moments where Ciara is with Amanda in New York and she's really being a shoulder for Amanda to lean on while Amanda is struggling in her relationship with Kyle. Then you have the soft bar opening where everybody's analyzing that scene, right? Where Wes is giving Amanda the debrief on what happened with Ciara. And, you know, Wes is saying, "Oh, I wish Amanda would have been there. Like, I was thinking, oh, I wish Amanda was going to be in this car." It's like, why? It's just all so weird. You know, I do think that Amanda's facial expressions, they're really being analyzed at the end of the episode. I don't necessarily see what everybody else sees. I kind of do, you know. It's denial. I'm in denial, you guys. I can't help it. I do have thoughts on Lindsay's interaction with Carl's mom and Lindsay going to soft bar. I'm going to save them for the Patreon because it needs to be behind a paywall, if you know what I mean. But back to Watch What Happens Live. There's this whole story that Bailey and Lindsay both talk about Amanda. This was brought up at the reunion. Amanda making out with Kyle and then leaving the bar with West, which is mind-boggling. Bailey says she was grabbing his face and really heavily kissing him. And I was like, what is happening? I said to Wes, "What are they doing?" And he says, "Let them do their thing." Now I'm wondering, why did he say that? It's so weird. It is so weird. Can you imagine the conversations that were happening between Wes and Amanda after that? Like, bleh, I don't even want to think about it. You guys already know where I'm going with it, so I'm not going to go too much further. But the moment, the mic drop moment on Watch What Happens Live is when Lindsay said, "Imagine using your husband as a decoy for your boyfriend." We're not okay. Summer House fans, we are not okay. But she is right. She also talked about Wes posing with Gemma, which I am very interested to see what is said at the Summer House reunion, because Lindsay said this was discussed. Because if you guys remember when all of the things really first exploded and we're all like, there's no way Wes and Amanda are a thing. Well, Wes the next day posted a photo of Ciara to his Instagram story at Lindsay's apartment with Gemma. And the caption said, "Gemma Nation," to basically throw everybody off the scent. And it worked. It worked for me. It threw me off the scent. I was like, see, look, Wes is literally with Ciara right now. There's no way that he would do that to her. It really felt like him in a roundabout way squashing the rumors. And Lindsay was not happy about it. She said on Watch What Happens Live, "He used my child as clickbait to sort of cover up his relationship." I didn't like that. And we talk about that at the reunion. Yeah, that's like next level manipulation. All right, I'm going to keep it there. I can almost assure you that we're going to do a full episode recap on the Patreon, so the link is in the show notes below. But let's get into final thoughts, and let's talk more about the secret lives of Orange County. So this was announced last week at Hulu Gets Real, and I haven't really dug too deep into it, honestly, because I was more interested in a lot of the other shows that were being talked about. I can't say that like the franchising of the Mormon Wives is something that I'm like, yeah, let's do it, you know, but I could be persuaded. But the confirmed cast includes McCall, and I'm not going to know how to say any of their last names. McCall Dapron, Aspyn Ovard, Avery Woods, Bobbi Althoff, Salome Andrea, Ashley Pease, Madison Bontempo, and Chandler Higginson. So it's a group of California-based mom influencers balancing their careers, friendships, marriages, and faith. It's called Mormon Wives, Orange County. And the log line reveals the show follows, quote, "a new group of dynamic young mothers in Orange County who collide in a community where beliefs are not just their religion, they are their identity." Well, like, I think only 2 of them are Mormon. So I don't think that's accurate, but it says, while some defend their way of life, fighting against modernity, others embrace change, becoming a platform to disrupt the status quo. Scandals and secrets will be revealed, facades will crumble, and families and friendships will change forever on both sides of the battlefield as this group of strong, game-changing influencers come together to build their answer to #MomTalk. What does that mean? I'm sorry, I don't really understand. I don't really understand based on that log line. Mayci's sister, McCall, is in it, and I think that's like the bridge. Also Jen Affleck, which we'll get to in a second, but Mayci did an interview, I think with Us Weekly. It said, the biggest thing Mayci told me is to be neutral. Don't be too crazy, but be neutral and be in the middle. I mean, doesn't that just ring true to Mayci? She said, McCall said, that's actually good advice because it's hard sometimes not to take a side. She's like, be a little bit more neutral. So like I said, there's a mixed bag when it comes to who actually is a member of the LDS Church, which is the same as the OG Mom Talk cast, at least now. You know, I think a lot of them, most of them have roots to the church, but now some of them no longer are members. It does kind of seem like they're copy and pasting a formula, which isn't that what you're supposed to do if you're franchising? However, you know, it's like some are Mormon wives. You have to have a controversial social media influencer. It was Taylor. This one's going to be Aspyn, who is in a throuple with a married couple. Then you have Bobbi Althoff, who is not Mormon and I don't think has ever been Mormon. But remember, she had the podcast thing and the beef with Drake. That, you know, that's deep. This might deserve a deep dive going into these ladies. And then Jen Affleck. So what was interesting was that Jen wasn't at the Hulu event, but we had all heard that this spinoff, you know, I don't want to say was centering around Jen, but Jen was going to be one of the mainstays, you know, to transition into this new show. But she didn't go to Hulu Get Real to announce the cast. And McCall told Entertainment Tonight, I guess I'm curious as well. I was surprised when we went to Glam before this and she wasn't with us. I heard she was sick, but I have no clue. But Jen did confirm her involvement by posting on her social media pages on Saturday, April 25th. And it's like the Full House theme song. And the caption says, coming to Hulu 2026. And the rest of the women are in the video. So she's just hopping out of one Mom Talk into the next. And, you know, I think there's a lot of questions that come up when it comes to the original Mom Talk crew. You have Taylor completely off the grid. You have Jen moved, Michaela moved. What does that mean for the rest of them? There was only 4 of them there at Hulu Gets Real. It was Jesse, Miranda, Layla, and Mayci. So it's like, yes, they're starting this spinoff, but I think the OGs are the most important group, right? It's like, can you have spinoffs if the originals aren't churning out content? I don't know. You know, production has resumed, so we'll see, but it's like, has it only resumed with the 4 of them? Time will tell. All right, you guys, thanks again for tuning in to this week's episode of Morgan's Pop Talks. If you haven't left your review, please do so. A little 5-star boop boop, a little love you like a sis. If you want more bonus content, extra episodes, and you get MPT ad-free and a day early on Patreon, patreon.com/Morgan's Pop Talks. The link is in the show notes below. If not, I'll see you next week. And as always, love you like a sis.